Hey guys, how's it going? And welcome to the showdown between the Lizard people led by Jabba the Hutt and the Greenskins who are going to be led by the Baconator, I think. Yeah, looks like it's going to be the Baconator. And for any of you guys that don't know the reference, I basically just call Wurzog the Baconator because he's riding a hog. So that's pretty much it. So anyways, guys, let's jump right into this match and have some fun. Up here in Vanguard, I do have two groups of the Chameleon Skinks, which are very good against Greenskins. Number one, they have okay melee stats, so if they get caught by Wolf Riders or Spider Riders or stuff like that, they can put up an okay fight, but ultimately, they're very good against lightly armored targets, and the Greenskin roster is full of light armor. You can see Night Goblins, Squig Hoppers, I think, over here have 25, 45 on those guys. Black Orcs, of course, are very heavily armored, but a lot of the Greenskin troops are lightly armored and very good kiting targets as well. Now, although these Squig Hoppers do have 80 to 63 speed, so they can definitely still catch these guys. I mean, they're at 63 now because of the poison, but yeah, you can see the Gobos here definitely having a fun old time chasing down some of these Skinks. On top of that, I do have two groups of Pterodon Riders with the Fire Leech Bolas, and I actually feel like they're okay against Greenskins. You can drop some hot fire on these guys. You can see these squigs are definitely going to get blown up a little bit. But on top of that, you can use them as backline harass tools. So if there's like Rusty Arrows or other skirmisher units or artillery, you can use them to kind of threaten those objectives there, which is pretty cool. Two groups of the Coldland Spear Riders, one here and one on the far side as well, just to kind of protect all my skirmishing and harass units. A couple groups of skink cohorts with the javelins. You can see supporting up here in the frontal area. Two laser lizards, so we got these guys ready to party. They're going to be dropping some hot solar fire here on these Black Orcs and Biggins and stuff like that. Jabba the Hutt. So Jabba the Hutt does have Nets of Ammontok, Apotheosis, as well as Arcane Unforging. So if you're pretty good, I always miss this. I personally have only ever gotten it off like once or twice, but Arcane Unforging adds 30 seconds to ability. So if you cast this on a Greenskin Lord, when you think they're going to be using the WA ability, it actually adds 30 seconds to it, which can really kind of throw off their rhythm. So I always miss it, but again, it is something that you can pull off here. We do have Banishment as well as the Ruination of Cities. So Jabba's ready to party. We got a couple Saurus in the back just to kind of anchor things in case the fighting gets ugly. And that's pretty much it. For my opponent, he does have these Squig Hoppers who are just being hunted down by these Coldland Spear Riders. So we definitely should wreck these guys pretty good, as the Chameleon Skinks are providing some pretty good overwatch. He does have another group of Night Goblins, Squig Hoppers, Goblin Forest, Goblin Spider Riders, I think, yeah, who are going to be fighting those Spear Riders over there. He has a big infantry corps. It looks like in total 3 Black Orcs, a couple Biggins. He's got Goblins, he's got Lads, he's got Nasty Skulkers. In the back, he does have a pretty good missile line. Savage Orc Airboys, 2 of those, and the Rusty Arrows. So yeah, the Savage Orc Airboys actually have better armor piercing values than Goblin Archers, so that's why a lot of people do bring them. You can see their AP, I think, is like 6 compared to like the 3 or 4 of Goblins. So anyways, guys, let's get this show on the road. So right here in the front, you can see the Coldland Spear Riders do fend off those Squigs in the initial skirmish. My opponent gets a pretty good little engagement here with these Squig Hoppers and is going to chew on some of my guys. And as far as Goblin Spider Riders also did escape, but it looks like a couple of them are like tethering up my troops back here. I keep getting like my AI pulled back in this direction, even though like the majority of them are actually over here fighting. So very good stuff for my opponent there, getting those Chameleon Skinks. In the front line, I did try and do a little bit of a charge there, but I forgot it was Wurzog, and I get caught with the effigy of the Git. So I'm kind of pinned in combat here. You guys can see in a moment I'm going to be pulling back, but a very good effigy for my opponent. In the meantime, he is getting blasted by the laser lizard, so those dinos definitely doing good. Jabba the Hutt has come up from his toilet seat, ready to fight, actually get his hands dirty a little bit. Even when they are in melee, the Slans don't get their hands dirty. They literally use magic, but looks like that one guy gets smited into another dimension, which is pretty cool. Jabba the Hutt's going to be falling back with his Coldland Spear Riders as well as the Laser Dinos, and I saw a pretty big formation here, and I wanted to buy some time for my Spear Riders as well as my entire army, so I do use an Overcasted Nets of Ammontok right there. And at this point, I'm kind of looking around like, oh boy, I kind of was a little bit sloppy in the initial engagement. Yes, I got a lot of damage, took out a couple of groups of Night Goblin Squig Hoppers and stuff like that, but now I need to take advantage of my speed, my mobility, so I net those guys down. I see some of these Nasty Skulkers over here, so my Pterodon Riders are going to start, peppering these guys so I can potentially win the flank. So here comes the Fire Leech Bolas right into those filthy goblins, and it actually does some pretty good damage. You can see here my Coldland Spear Riders are coming in, and in that area, I did drop a net of Ammontok in. I also do use a Banishment, because it was a pretty big blob. So the Banishment's coming in. You can see some of these Greenskin boys are definitely not having a good time, as well as those Black Orcs. So we'll see how it goes. Hopefully the Banishment kind of spins in the right direction. Some pretty good value there. I would say it was definitely worth it. Nailed some of those guys. We do break the formation over here, the Nasty Skulker, so I'm hoping that we can open up and get into the backfield. The Laser Dinos continuing to shoot, and the Coldland Spear Riders that didn't get caught are going to be countercharging. So basically, I just pulled them back, wait for my opponent to advance and overextend, and then I countercharge again with the Coldland Spear Riders. They get balls deep in there and are able to crush those Squig Hoppers pretty efficiently. But there are Skulkers and Black Orcs and a bunch of troops like that advancing. Laser Dino throwing their little javelins here, which put them down to 23 speed, but I'm not sure why he's not shooting. There you go. Come on, blast him. Looks like a bit of a swing and a miss. He does cleave one Black Orc there with that shot. The other one, I was like, okay, what I'm going to do is I see a big Greenskin blob, and my opponent does pop the wall as well, so it's going to be some pretty heavy damage here. you send in a Bastillodon. Bastillodons are really, really good for this. So you send it in. It's pretty tanky. Yes, it's going to take a lot of damage from these troops, but what you then do is you cast AoEs on top of them because everyone kind of piles in around them. So Jabba the Hutt turns around. He's going to evoke some mighty incantations here, and Ruination of Cities is going to be going down. And here comes a cinematic shot. It's going to tear through these Greenskin forces. You can see them getting launched in all sorts of directions. That's pretty great because the Bastillodon has high enough mass that I can now run. We still netted some good value. Jabba the Hutt is going to be dropping an Arcane and Forging on Warzog as well to try and slow down the spell casting and slow down the Bonewood Staff. But it's a little bit dangerous. The Baconator's coming in for the Alpha Strike here, and he's going to just club this filthy Slon, and yeah, totally looks like his neck is like melting on top of his head. But anyways, Warzog gets in there, Arcane and Forging, all kinds of stuff going on, and he does have goblins with him, so that's a little bit tough. Some of these chameleons who have rallied are providing a little bit of help, but Warzog is just beating the brakes off Lord Mastamandi, which is a little bit scary. In the back, my Cold Spear Riders, unfortunately, I was going into these archers, and I was microing elsewhere, and I didn't see these biggins, so the biggins are just going to cleave down, which is going to be tough, so big mistake there. Granted, there was only like 7 or 8 of them left, so not the biggest deal. In the meantime, the Pterodon Riders on the far side continuing to drop their Fire Leech Bolus on these guys, and I do have a pretty big formation of Cold Riders coming in, and this is all archers here, so this is a little bit better. Granted, they are Savage Orc Airboys. I don't know if I registered that at the time, so I was like, oh, I'm going to go in and just crush these measly archers, but that was like, oh wait, they're Savage Orcs. They actually hit hard. So we charge in there, we get some pretty good value, I would say. We shut down their archers, the rest of the Airs buckle, and that was definitely a good engagement. Granted, when these biggins turn around and these Night Goblin Squig Hoppers to help out, it's probably going to turn a little bit. Up here, we have a pretty good fight on our hands. Lord Mazdamundi has stacked on top of his Saurus, which is very lore-friendly here. And they're going to be defending him. The Greenskins are very beat up, and it bought me time, because now my Laser Dinos both retreated, and they're just blasting into this pocket against Biggins and Black Orcs. They don't do as much damage against Black Orcs, because their AP is a little bit poor, but this is just like the dream situation. These Laser Dinos just shooting into a blob of Greenskins here. The Saurus, of course, doing a pretty good job, just kind of fighting and holding it down for Lord Mazdamundi. I do also have another banishment, I think, coming in. I think that was a banishment from JABBA, but unfortunately my opponent did scoot forward a little bit. Still did enough damage to kind of buckle their leadership, so these Black Orcs and these Biggins are definitely in the wrong neighborhood. In the back line, Warzog does try and go and shut down my Laser Dinos, but again, JABBA, excuse me, Jabba the Hutt is on the hunt here. He's rolling on his glorious palanquin or whatever that thing's called. I don't know. We'll just call it the toilet seat for now. But you can see that Warzog's in a little bit of trouble. He's being taken out by the Bastillodons with the solar engines. Jabba the Hutt's on the hunt. We do also have just hordes of annoying chameleon skinks just kind of darting him down. So definitely a very inglorious way to go for the hog. He's going to be running back towards the hills there with only about 900 HP, give or take. The skink's definitely hot in pursuit. Jabba's very slow. He only has 34 speed, so I can't really catch him. But as far as the rest of the battle goes, it's very wild. I basically was forced away from these archers. So the Savage Orc Airboys put up a great fight. At that point, I pulled back my Cold One Riders and I just started chasing down goblins and just free stuff I could find on the battlefield, which is always good to do with very beat up cav units. And the Pterodon Riders, I just, fall them back and just have them start shooting at the biggins. And I really liked having them in this game. They gave me a lot of tactical flexibility, and with this kiting style of play, I feel like they were very, very good. I mean, I was kind of bombing biggins and going after archers and then having enough speed to run from the archers, and just was quite happy. The Saurus are going to be getting a little downhill charge here. They are out of control and rampaging, unfortunately. But again, attacking Biggins is a pretty good target for them, as Biggins have light armor, and Saurus hit very, very hard with 50+ weapon strength. So we're just kind of laying whipping on these Biggins. But I'm glad I brought shields, because we're certainly taking a ton of Overwatch from these Savage Orc Airboys and these Rusty Airs and stuff like that. But Balance of Power is pretty heavily in my favor at this point. The Laser Dinos are going to scoot forward and start blasting these Savage Orcs right here. So at that point, it's pretty much going to be all she wrote for the Greenskins, just kind of fighting forth, taking out the Biggins. And Warzog did get chased off the battlefield, so without the leadership, that's going to be pretty much it. So very well played to my opponent. It was definitely a very fun game. A little bit wild in the beginning. I was able to get some good catches against those Squig Hoppers, but again, I also slipped up and charged in and got caught with an FG of the Git and a couple other things like that. He also did a good job kind of forcing through and hunting down some of my chameleons, so it was good, but ultimately we were able to kind of reform our ranks, get those Bastillodons up on the high ground position, very Obi-Wan-esque here, and we were able to just kind of blast away that big blob of Greenskins. A couple good banishment tricks as well, sending in the Bastillodons, letting them get blobbed up on and getting ruinations and banishments and stuff like that. It's so good. I mean, anytime you're playing against like a swarming infantry faction, most players are going to make that mistake there, because the AI is just going to like tether around it, and it takes like a ton of micro to get away from that. But yeah, so that's it for the build. I think it was a pretty good kiting build. The Fire Leech Bolas, 34, 26 kills, definitely not bad. They also provided me with a lot of battlefield control. So even aside from the kills, they brought some intrinsic value from just like the control they gave me, and the mobility on the battlefield, which is really, really nice. And the Laser Dino is very good. Saurus obviously did the trick, and Jabba the Hutt was just an absolute pimp as always. And yeah, that's going to be it for my army. For my opponent's army, I like Warzog. I think that maybe cutting... Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of the Squig Hoppers. I honestly think you just go with Goblin Spider Riders to be cheaper. I would probably cut one of these biggins and get some goblin big bosses on the spiders, because they're really good. They can hunt down JABBA, they can hunt down pretty much any of these high value targets. Gives you a lot of control in the battlefield. But I did like the Savage Orcs as well as the Restiers. It was a really tough missile line that I didn't really have ample tools to deal with. So that was some pretty cool stuff for my opponent. So yeah, that's pretty much it. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this Lizardmen versus Greenskin showdown. We will be back with some fun videos in the next few days. Currently working on the top 5 worst legendary lords in the game. So I know you guys love your Mimi list video. So thanks again for watching, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed, and we will see you guys soon.